Have you ever noticed there are certain truths we keep dodging, not because they're wrong, but because admitting them would require us to change? Here's the first: most of what we call love is really a mirror. We look at the other person and see ourselves, our forgotten longings, our unnamed fears, the primal images our soul has been sketching since long ago. Carl Jung called this projection. It isn't a moral failure, it's how the psyche operates. But when we mistake the mirror for the human being in front of us, suffering begins. You are not betraying love by facing this, you're only betraying illusion. An illusion, however glittering, still shatters like moonlight on water at dawn. If you grew up in America, you were raised on cultural myths, soulmate, destiny, the one who completes me. These stories aren't bad, they give us hope. But hope without wakefulness becomes a lullaby. Jung isn't here to steal your romance. He's here to wake it up, to carry it out of the movie studio and into a real room where two people breathe, remember, and carry their own shadows. He said within every man lives a feminine image, Anima, and within every woman a masculine image, Animus. Don't confuse this with gender stereotypes. These are archetypal energies, not fixed identities. A man can be tender and steadfast. A woman can be incisive and deeply empathetic. We carry both sun and moon. The problem isn't gender, it's exile. Which part of these two forces have we banished? Here's the tangle: the unconscious will not sit still. Whatever we haven't integrated goes looking for a doorway, usually through other people. We meet a gentle woman and feel instant calm, not necessarily because she gives calm, but because our anima finally saw its reflection. We meet a decisive man and feel the world snap into order, not because he is order, but because our animus just woke up. While the projection is intact, we call it magic. When it fades, we call it betrayal. In truth, only the mist has lifted. The forest is the same. We weren't tricked, we simply hadn't learned to see. There's another layer most videos skip to keep the rhetoric soaring: attachment. Early fractures, an absence of holding a quiet rupture, leave our unconscious hungry for the qualities anima/animus symbolize. When we feel unsafe, we idealize. When we fear abandonment, we cling. When we fear engulfment, we withdraw. No one is the villain in that story, just inner children searching for home. Once we understand this, we stop condemning and start taking responsibility. What am I asking the other person to carry for me? Let's be clear, to avoid stereotypes, these patterns run through all relationships: straight, queer, non-binary. Archetypes don't ask who you love, they ask how conscious you are. A woman who loves women can still get hooked by an idealized animus. A man who loves men can still be pulled into an anima in shadow. The lesson doesn't change wherever there's a gap in integration. Projection shows up. Why care? Because the cost of illusion is repetition. We change partners but not the script. We swap scenery but keep the same role. One day you hear yourself saying the exact lines you said to your ex, as if some invisible hand is writing the play. Jung named the liberating move withdraw projection. It's when we gently call our energy back, when we stop demanding the other play parent, savior, GPS, or shrine. We don't withdraw from love, we withdraw from our fantasy of love. Only then can a real relationship begin. How do we withdraw? There's no magic formula. Any serious path asks for three things: awareness, dialogue, small actions. Awareness is the pause to name what you're doing. What am I idealizing? What am I demonizing? Dialogue is Jung's active imagination, sitting down and inviting the inner feminine masculine to speak, not to prove a point, but to hear what's been forgotten. Small actions are tangible: a clear boundary, a standing date with yourself, a tiny ritual you repeat because the unconscious doesn't speak in speeches. It speaks in rhythms. A note of care for those listening: seriously, if tuning inward brings surges of emotion, loss of control, or piercing memories, prioritize safety. Jung is not a license to self-punish. When your nervous system sounds the alarm, reach for a professional, a community, and your breath. The dark isn't the enemy. Sometimes you just need a lamp. Courage isn't charging into the cave alone. It's the humility to say, right now I need help. Now let me hand you a different kind of mirror, one with a frame. The frame is distinction, feminine, masculine, are archetypal energies, not the same as women, men. The frame is inclusion. These patterns flow through every identity and orientation. The frame is concreteness. Love isn't a cloud of philosophy, it's calendar, invites a shared account, grocery runs, bone-deep fatigue. Inside that everyday concrete, the unconscious goes to work through images, dreams, symbols. Ask less. Why am I like this and more? What image is calling me? A moon on a lake? A door not yet open? A kitchen missing? Salt symbols are the soul's shortcuts. If you're still here, your soul has likely leaned toward truth, and truth doesn't harden us. It opens us. I want to love without the mask. I want to see and be seen. That is desire, the D in the Aida arc. Not the thirst to be right, but the longing to be more human. Let that desire lead you to a gentle commitment this week. Practice one small projection, withdrawal name, a quiet expectation you've been placing on someone. Bring it home and tend it with a 15-minute act you can actually do. From here on, love stops being a measure of someone else's perfection and becomes the training ground of your own soul. In the next part, we'll walk Jung's map Anima and Animus in their light and in their shadows. How a culture obsessed with destiny fattens our illusions. Why attachment patterns act like hidden winds, pushing our boat off course. In one small evening ritual, you can start tonight. No theatrics, just real enough for the unconscious to start trusting you. If you've ever changed partners but repeated the story, the next section will feel like switching on a light in a room you thought you knew. Let's go not to hunt a miracle outside, but to welcome home the exiled life within you. Let's begin with a truth that stings a little, most early. Sparks you feel for someone don't originate in them at all. They rise from ancient images sleeping inside you. Jung called these images archetypes. In men, this inner image often appears as the anima, the inward feminine softness, intuition, feeling the flow of life. In women, it often appears as the animus, the inward masculine orientation, reasoning order, forward thrust. And to be crystal clear, feminine masculine here is symbolic language, not gender labels. Every human across identities and orientations carries both principles. When one gets exiled, other people become the screen where the missing part gets projected and we swear we've met destiny. Story 1, Evan and Nora. How projection feels like fate. Evan, 32, is successful at work but lives like he's always late to himself. He meets Nora at a small party. Something about her is gentle and still. Inside him, a quiet pool forms like wind stopping mid-avenue in New York. He tells a friend, "She makes me peaceful." That sentence exposes the mechanism. Nora didn't do anything. Evan's anima is knocking, borrowing Nora's face to be seen. For a few weeks, its magic calls closeness, long talks. Then Nora stops being an endless stream for Evan's feelings to bathe in. The spell cracks. Evan's anger isn't about Nora changing. It's about the anima being recalled to its proper home within him. That is the moment of withdrawal of projection, if he dares. Story 2. Mara and Theo. When certainty was a projection, Mara loves men with clear goals. She tells friends she's drawn to certainty. She meets Theo calm, purposeful, and her whole body exhales finally a safe shore. A month later, Theo gets vague due to family trouble, and Mara feels a nameless irritation, as if the cosmos tilted because of a late text. What's happening? Mara's animus, her own capacity to set inner markers and hear her rational voice, has been outsourced. She doesn't only want Theo, she wants what Theo represents. When he can't hold the harbor role, she's disappointed not just in him, but in the unripe part of herself. If Mara could pause and admit, "I handed my compass to someone else," a door to maturity would open. Attachment sneaks in and supercharges projection. We often love through old injuries. If safety was scarce, part of us leans toward idealizing to survive on hope or withdrawing to self-protect. Anxious attachment, mating an Anima-like person. Soft, empathic, clings like a life buoy. Avoidant attachment, meeting an Animus-like person. Clear, decisive hands over choices to dodge feelings. Archetypes aren't bad, but fused with old fear and little awareness, they turn love into a refueling station for bottomless gaps. No shame needed, just consciousness about what we're doing. What pattern does your body run when fear enters the room? The dream that tells on us, the unconscious, speaks in images. Imagine a man dreaming he's in an empty subway station. On the wall, a poster of a moonlit garden. He touches the poster, cool water seeps into his skin. He wakes with a pounding heart. The station equals efficient life, quick decisions. The moon garden equals anima, moist, feeling, slow rhythm. He drank from a poster seeking nourishment from outer images. The dream calls him home. Don't drink through a wall. Dig a well within. If you dream of water moon tunnels, doors don't rush to why. Ask, what in me is thirsty? Where am I searching for it outside? A simple map for self-check. Picture a 2x2 horizontal axis integrated. Unintegrated vertical axis anima, animus. Unintegrated anima, idealizing leaning, getting lost in feeling, romanticizing pain. Integrated anima, tenderness with a backbone, staying with feeling without making others carry it. Unintegrated animus, cold criticism, control by assertion, wall-like order. Integrated animus, nonviolent direction, clear words without humiliation, boundaries like white fences around a garden. If you keep sliding left, don't self-condemn. The road to the right doesn't run around life, it runs through you. Which quadrant hosted you this week? America's fast culture and the hidden outsourcing contract. In a day of dense texting, endless email, and competitive rooms, we unconsciously hand our lovers a contract. Carry the part this culture stripped from me. Many men outsource anima, feel for me, dream for me, be soft for both of us. Many women outsource animus. Decide for me, build our frame, lend me your spine. Both are overload. Healthy love isn't where two people outsource what's missing, it's where each rebuilds inner muscle and then the two dance. What clause of that contract are you ready to cancel? How to spot mirror love in the wild. Listen for the whisper. Finally, I'm peaceful. Finally, there's order. Finally, someone understands me. Those finallys are often the fingerprints of an archetype. They're beautiful because they're true needs, but they become cruel if you pile them entirely on one person. When you catch the print, pause 30 seconds and say silently, thank you, anima, animus. I won't turn my partner into a wall or a river. A sentence that small is already a neat cut in the old contract, which finally hooks you most. Counterexamples so we don't oversimplify. Some men are richly emotional, cry at films, love poetry and music, but with unintegrated anima, gentleness becomes flooding. They demand others be the harbor and resent the harbor when the shore erodes. Some women are highly rational and oriented, but with unintegrated animus, reason becomes a blade-cutting life instead of making space for it. The point was never who carries which energy, but whether the energy is held consciously. Where do you notice cutting or flooding in yourselves? Inclusivity and context. Everything here applies to same-sex and non-binary relationships. Two men can still hang their anima on each other. Two women can still surrender animus to dodge responsibility. Also, archetypes are deep rivers. Culture is the terrain. America's speed individualism and the romance industry dig special channels. If we don't know which water we're riding, it's easy to mistake velocity for destiny. A 3-line practice for the next 24 hours. When you feel magnetized to someone, jot 3 lines. What am I seeing in them? Where does that feeling live in my body? If that quality were mine, what 15-minute act could water it today? A short walk without earbuds, a screen-free dinner, or one clean email. Often soothes a thirst you thought only a love story could quench. Try it once and watch what shifts. Part 1 practice expanded. Pause 1 min, hand on chest. 10 slow breaths. Whisper, I'm safe to feel. Name 2 min, label the energy precisely craving closeness, escape from fatigue, fear of boredom. Rechannel 1530 min, 1 meaningful act. Write 200 words. Lift hard for 15 minutes. Reset a creative corner. Call to mend a misunderstanding. Close. 1 sentence of thanks for staying without self-judgment. Add a gentle 7-day check-in nightly. 0 to 10 ratings for sleep. Deep focus, creativity, emotional steadiness. Note, the wave rose when I rechanneled by I learned. You don't have to win only to see patterns. If repression shows up, tension, obsession, blow up, slow down. Add body care/sleep and get therapy if needed. The ethic is simple kindness toward yourself. Shadow work and active imagination. Any attempt at self-mastery that doesn't invite shadow to the table won't hold. Shadow stores what was shame, desire, anger, weakness, ambition. Push it down and it returns by back roads. Integrate it and it repays you in gold. Clean boundaries. Vitality, truth that doesn't need to shout. Try active imagination. Close your eyes and let the drive appear as a figure, a restless boy, a light-seeking girl. Ask, what do you want from me? Listen, then write. Many people feel they hear for the first time a voice from the deep aquifer of the soul. No esoteric belief needed, only honest experiment. The Alex and Jamie loop, so you can name it when it happens. Alex 32, creative meets Jamie at a book launch. Sparks late-night texts, inspiration, attention like summer rain. Alex projects perfect attunement and idealized reflection of his own eros onto Jamie. Jamie projects rescuer of loneliness, a sturdy logos, onto Alex. Week 1 feels faded. Weeks later, as persona dims, shadow whispers. Alex fears quiet and unconsciously makes waves to feel alive. Jamie, boundary shy, goes cool. No one is wrong. They're steering each other with unnamed parts. Beneath this sits the principle Anima. Animus lives in everyone. When your anima is eclipsed, you harden and lose the heart's softening. When your animus is fractured, you drift, lack structure, and can't say no. The projection feels like magic while it holds. When it falls, the human remains limits, and all, and disappointment arrives. No one lied. The movie ended, and your eyes need time to adjust to real light. If your heart feels both steadier and slightly uneasy right now, that's a good sign. Uneasy because the illusion machine is loosening its screws. Steadier because you've taken your own hand. Join our small community of people willing to tell themselves the truth. Drop one honest line in the comments. My projection moment this week was, or the quality I'm calling home is. Writing it down pulls a slice of energy back from the outer screen. We'll read each other with respect, not judgment, because all of us are learning how to hold the mirror wisely. Next time, we'll walk deeper into the forest where Anima and Animus shine fully what they look like when they no longer demand stand-ins, and how soulmate culture pours full on projection. We'll also lay a simple attachment map right on the kitchen table to see why a 5-minute late text can wake ancient seas. Finally, I'll give you a bedtime ritual, a brief dialogue with your archetypal figure, light enough to do nightly, deep enough that the unconscious agrees to speak. If you've long believed love is about finding the right person, it might be time for something braver, becoming the right person, so you can actually meet a human being. Which sentence in all this did your body respond to most? We grow up inside a chorus of stories, destiny the one, the person who will finally calm me or put my life in order. These tales aren't enemies. They're lullabies that help humans bear loneliness. But a lullaby, if played too long, turns into hypnosis. Jung wasn't against love. He was against the sleep of consciousness. When Anima and Animus aren't recognized and cared for within us, we hang them on someone else. And when the full weight of two ancient archetypes is hooked onto a single finite pair of shoulders, disappointment is only a matter of time. In America, we learn to consume feelings like we consume content. Swipe, select, date, replace. Apps turn the heart into a lit display case, always another new drop. Inside that tempo, illusion feels logical. If it doesn't fit, we swap. But the unconscious doesn't run on algorithms. It runs on symbols. You can change partners 3 times in a month, but if your anima is still hungry, you'll call the word peace into another face. You can change life partners, but if your animus hasn't been invited home, you'll keep outsourcing your compass, then resenting the other for getting lost. Culture lulls with speed. The unconscious wakes with repetition. Let's ground this in real life with Evan and Nora Mara and Theo. Not to make a soap opera, but to see a pattern. On overworked days, Evan clung to Nora like a child to a mother's sleeve dripping. Are you there? He thought he needed Nora. He really needed himself to sit down, hand on chest, name the emotion, and let the wave pass. He tried one small thing, 10 minutes off screens, by the window writing, "Where exactly am I tired today?" The reflexive hunger softened. He discovered Nora didn't have to calm him. He could set a chair for Anima in his own house. Mara, instead of firing off a demand for instant clarity, wrote, "What order do I need today?" She blocked a long-avoided slot, personal finances. A thin spine returned, not because Theo became superhuman, but because her animus was no longer starved. To see the game clearly, we need a social map. The soulmate myth says someone will understand you without words. The salvation myth says love will heal every wound. The destiny myth says when the right one arrives, everything will be effortless. Paired with anxious or avoidant attachment, these myths act like magnifying lenses. The anxious read every ambiguity as abandonment. The avoidant reads closeness as engulfment. In both cases, anima/animus storms the stage and the person in front of you becomes a backdrop. If you find yourself here, remember no villains in this script, only tired children. That's why we learn to hold them inside before we try to hold another person. Look through a fairy tale lens, not to escape reality, but to see its structure. Psyche longs to behold Eros, but the condition is no lamp. She breaks the rule. Eros vanishes, and Psyche must complete 4 impossible tasks. Each task demands thought, asking for help, and accepting limits. That's the tuition of real love. We don't keep Eros by clutching an illusion. We keep Eros by growing up enough for Eros to stay. The 4 tasks are a fairy tale mirror of bringing Anima/Animus home. Cultivate patience and clear thinking. Animus clarified. Listen for the whisper of intuition. Anima attune, receive help, and set boundaries, except that there are no shortcuts. If you fear the magic will die when you see the other, clearly remember. Psyche, she isn't punished for loving. She's invited to mature so she can love. One clarification carved in stone, feminine masculine here names archetypal principles, not biological gender. Across every configuration, straight, gay, non-binary, Anima/Animus do their same work, calling us back toward balance. A man loving men can still hang Anima on his partner. A woman loving women can still outsource Animus. When we drop the labels, we can finally learn. Hold a simple matrix in your palm. 4 boxes: Anima, unintegrated, Anima integrated, Animus unintegrated, Animus integrated. In the first, you see idealization, loving to outrun emptiness, love like a flood. In the second, tenderness with edges, staying with feeling without making another person regulate it. In unintegrated Animus, you find cutting criticism and rigid order used to avoid inner chaos. In integrated Animus, you feel nonviolent direction, clear speech boundaries like white picket fences around a garden. When you catch yourself sliding into the unintegrated boxes, skip the self-shame. Treat it as a signal to feed your inner life, a little silence, a little discipline. One small promise kept to yourself on time. How do I stop being led by culture's spell? You don't have to leave culture. You add consciousness. When a myth rises, if he were my other half, he would just know. Add it on Destinan, and I can speak my need clearly. When the rescue voice whispers, she will heal me. Add a before I ask that of her. How will I tend one slice of this wound today? These little sentences aren't romantic, but they give both people their dignity. No one plays saint. No one becomes a flood wall. Try a 7-day Jung micro-challenge. Each night, write 3 lines. What did I idealize in the other today? Which feeling did I hope they would hold for me tomorrow? What 15-minute act will help me hold it myself? If it's peace, turn all screens off and take a walk without earbuds. If it's orderless, 3 tasks you can finish in 30 minutes. If it's being understood, name your feeling in 1 sentence. Tonight I feel tender because... No judgment, just rhythm. The unconscious learns by repetition. Let's widen the lens to the red season Jung's alchemical language for ripening. Transformation moves through 4 inner weathers: Negredo, black night; Albedo, pale dawn; Citrinitas, gold discernment; and Rubedo, Soho, ripe red life force integrated. So if someone told you red is the raw start, smile and gently adjust in the symbolic stream. Jung conversed with red sits closer to ripeness than to beginnings. The red thread isn't a miracle switch. It's a reminder that you're in a season of ripening, and every ripeness grows from patience with earlier seasons. Imagine an ordinary American day emails a gut punch text, a meeting that spirals. In Negredo, you want to deny the chaos. It's fine. Your left wrist, the place where pulse tells the truth, rings a soft bell. You pause 10 seconds, look at the red, as if you were looking into your own eyes. Anger gets a name. Fear finds a shoreline. As breath lengthens, albedo slips in, what needs protecting, your dignity or your ego. Then citrinitas, one clear sentence that defends truth without attacking a person. When you press send, there's a small nod inside. That quiet, satisfying click between thought, heart, and deed, that's rubedo. Red is both blood, what nourishes, and fire, what transforms. It doesn't ask you to show off, it asks for micro-courage. Caleb in Denver carried an old wound around recognition. When a manager downplayed his idea, heat flooded his chest once an argument or a collapse into resentful silence. With the red bell, he tries a ritual. Left palm on the table, thumb brushes, the thread long. Exhale, one orienting line. Here's the problem I'm solving. If that's still fuzzy, I need why to proceed. The fire doesn't vanish, it takes form. Raw energy becomes direction. That's the red lesson. And remember two guardrails. 1. Rubedo isn't spiritual hype, measure it by small, repeatable consistencies. One more boundary kept, one honest sentence, one decent bedtime. 2. Don't mash traditions. Kabbalah's red string protection, East Asia's red thread, encounter Hindu rites. Vow each have context, borrow function remembrance, not authority. Not every meeting stays smooth. The man who poured his heart out to Nora goes quiet a week later. Projection collapse hits outside the temenos. He feels shame about his tenderness, or frustration that Nora didn't fill a specific need. Fertile soil for ego inflation. The story, they're afraid of my depth, Nora shortens it. Maybe their rhythm is different. I send a quiet blessing and return to what's mine. Not cold, disciplined humility. Jung warned of the mana personality fantasies of special power when self-energy pours through an ungrounded ego. Antidote. The ordinary wash the dishes carefully, call your mom, 3 lines of shadow journal. Everydayness keeps us on the earth. Sunday family table in Minnesota. Dad jokes half serious. When are you getting married so we can relax? Eyes drift to Nora. A family complex, an inherited emotional current flips on. Jung called a complex an autonomous fragment of soul. You don't argue with a storm, you regulate until it dissolves. Nora breathes slow and uses clean communication. I know you hope for that. I want something lasting more than something fast. I love how much we care, and I need to honor my pace. Someone may still purse their lips, but her temenos stays intact. She doesn't require others to understand her. She refuses to betray herself. 2 quick tools to carry this into speech. First, the body triangle, feet, belly, shoulders. Warm, soft, settling down equals sensitivity. Cold, hard, bracing up equals vigilance. Second, 3 short boundary scripts. Work. I'd like to slow down a beat and check our base assumption. Dating. I like this connection and my pace is slow. Family. I appreciate how much we care and I need to move at my pace. Add a red flag checklist. They speed you up past comfort. Ask you to be less deep. Assign meaning to your words. Use guilt to steer. If all 4 show up together, you don't need to be teacher or scapegoat. Close the door kindly. This isn't a fit for me. I'm going to step back here. Then practice counter-transference self-care when you want to save prove or be recognized that part of you is asking you to come home. Water a 10-minute walk, 3 lines. What am I feeling? What do I need? What's my smallest next step? One more live example. Ashley in Austin used to explode when a message sat on scene. With the red bell, she runs a 3-step deprojection, touch the thread, and name the story, I'm about to be abandoned. Ask the deeper part. It's real need, reassurance, clarity, time, then translate it into a kind specific request. Hey, if you're slammed and can't reply yet, could you drop an emoji so I know? We're still on track, results aren't perfect, but something changes. She moves from mind reading to oriented communication. I want this to be a community path, not a solo project. In the comments, post your 3-line synchronicity insight log, leave out sensitive details, and add red or at the end so we can find each other. Read one other comment and leave a gentle, concrete response. A healthy Jungian circle isn't a chorus of sacred proclamations. It's a community of small, responsible, repeatable actions. Before we close, one question for your pocket. Which part of your love life needs a little more red, not drama but ripeness, a truth snug with your feeling, a boundary snug with your value, an action snug with your intent? Next, we'll map how to take back the projection in 4 steps. Spot the trigger. Rewrite the projection, do a brief active imagination dialogue with the archetype, and take one small action that changes the arc. We'll practice 3 polite, clear boundary lines in American English. And mark safety signs when to pause and seek a professional, because shadow isn't the enemy, but it isn't a place to get lost either. The art of pulling back the projection, a four-step route to recall the energy you've scattered and actually meet a human being. Up to now, we've watched the mirror of the unconscious at work, named the cultural myths that inflate our fantasies, and glanced at the Anima/Animus map. Now it's time to hold the mirror with both hands. Jung promised no miracles. He offered a map. This path isn't a flashy awakening. It's tiny, repeatable steps, humble enough for the unconscious to trust. You live in America, a land of calendars, reminders, and deadlines. So let those very tools become your healing props. Put ritual on the calendar. Let boundary language live in your emails, and let breath stand between meetings. Step 1, spot the trigger. What am I secretly asking the other person to do for me? Treat every bout of restlessness, sulking, or breathless panic like a wind chime. When it rings, pause for 3 breaths, hand to chest, then type 3 short lines in your notes app. I feel, and pick one word: anxious, sad, angry, lonely. 2, here's what I'm reading into them. E.g., he doesn't care, she's dodging me. 3, if this emotion is a signal from Anima/Animus, what is it asking from me, not from them? This separates the person from the projection. Writing pulls sticky energy off the other and back into the only place you can touch it: your body, your breath, your choices. It may not look romantic, but it is the most adult act of love. Respect what's actually in front of you. Step 2, rewrite the projection from myth to map. Take the story you just read about the other and turn it into a sentence about yourself. She makes me peaceful. I need to practice making peace within. He's not decisive. I've handed over my animus and resent him for not doing my job. If you feel resistance, good. That's the unconscious asking to be heard. You don't erase feeling, you redirect the arrow. To help this sink into muscle memory, keep a pocket card or desk note with 4 mantras. I belong to myself. I choose what I give. I state it before I expect it. I pull back gently. Read it before you reply to any message that tempts you to manipulate, ghost, or vent. Step 3, active imagination, dialogue with an archetype, not a debate with your partner. Sit somewhere quiet, screens off 10-minute timer. Invite Anima if you crave peace, vitality feeling, or Animus if you need direction. Clarity boundaries to step in. The image could be a person, a place, or a symbol. Moon garden, milestone ruler. Ask, what are you protecting me from? The answer may arrive as an image, a wave, a white wall. Respond with one concrete promise. I'll give you 15 minutes tonight, no screens, just presence, or I'll write this email in 3 clear sentences without over-explaining. You're not trying to win or be right. You're rebuilding trust with an exiled part of your life. The unconscious speaks ritual. A small candle, a glass of water, a chair of its own little details open the door. Step 4, micro-action, lay a real brick within 24 hours. Every promise needs one tangible act. If Anima is calling, take a 10-minute walk with no earbuds. Write 5 lines about one feeling or slow down dinner. If Animus is calling, clear one drawer block, 30 minutes for personal finances, or send a boundary email. Use the 3-line boundary frame. Right now I need wang. I can and I can't ung. Please choose A, B example. Right now I need a quiet night. I can reply in the morning and can't stay in this conversation now. Would you like to talk at 8:30 a.m. or 12:00 p.m.? Short, clear, no blame. That's bright Animus order without violence. To give this practice some muscle build, a nervous system gym tiny techniques that convince your body it's safe to pull the projection back. Try boundary breathing, inhale and whisper. I belong to me, exhale. I choose what I give for 6 cycles. Try sensory anchoring, touch where it's something cool. Name 5 things you see, 4 you can touch, 3 sounds, 2 smells, 1 taste. When the body settles, the mind slows enough to stop ejecting projection by reflex. No one loses when you're calm. Love wins when the adult I holds the wheel. Now 2 mini labs to enrich every relationship configuration and to distinguish archetype from gender role. Lab 1, identity versus archetype, 2 columns. What traits society praises in me, and what traits society subtly shames or forbids, then color by Anima, soothing, intuitive, nurturing, and Animus direction, reason, boundary. Less and much of what you call personality is a cultural role. Lab 2 diverse bonds in same-sex or non-binary pairings ask, who tends to steer? Who tends to carry the feeling tempo? Are we outsourcing too much of a missing function? These aren't fixed roles. They're a way to see the dynamics and regain freedom to share and swap. Bring the red thread into relationship, the truest mirror of the soul. Jung's Anima/Animus. Inner feminine masculine images, not biological sex, operate as principles. Eros relating and logos discerning. Unintegrated, they become projections. We cast the other as savior or betrayer to carry the part of us we won't own. Without awareness, a destiny string on the wrist turns into a drama chord. Every vibration feels like an omen. Keep Jung's tone, sift each signal. Is this my need or the relationship's need? Is it shadow fear of abandonment and a grab for control, or a simple truth asking to be spoken calmly? A lived story. Ashley in Austin noticed that every time a message sat on scene, her left wrist felt hot. That used to ignite a blow-up. He's playing power games then. Anger. Wearing the red thread, she tried a 3-step deprojection. One touch of the thread and name the story flaring. I'm about to be abandoned too. Ask the deep part. What do you actually need now? Often reassurance, clarity, or time. 3, translate that into a kind, specific request. Hey, when you're busy, could you drop an emoji so I know you're still there? Not perfect. But one thing changed. She moved from mind reading to directed communication. That's rubedo in relationship fire with a channel, not a wildfire. A quiet Jungian law compensation means we're attracted to people who carry what we've neglected, the hyper-rational swoon for emotional freedom, the over-accommodating for decisiveness. That's not bad, it's a class in session. But if projection drives class, becomes addiction. Let the red thread ring. Which part of them do I love? Because it's the part I must grow. Reclaim the lesson with one brain in an act. Join a speaking group instead of making them speak for you. Schedule family therapy instead of demanding they just know. Mature love doesn't beg fate for a perfect half. It invites you to be a responsible co-creator. A simple dialogue technology for a soft heart and a clear head. The 3-3-3-1. Take 3 shared breaths or you breathe before replying. 2. Name 3 core needs now. G. Clarity, respect, time. 3. Speak for 3 minutes only about those needs. No detours into past offenses. Let the red thread act as a silent facilitator. When feelings spike, touch it, and remember meaning stays in the center, not the ego. Close with one small commitment. I'll call at 8, or in tomorrow's meeting, I'll say, I'll circle back this afternoon. When talk can't reach the root, bring back the 5-minute oil lamp ritual before any important date or conversation. Minute 1, breathe, 4-4-6, and ask, today, am I choosing the lamp or the lightning? Minute 2, touch a small anchor ring key and whisper your gatekeeper line from step 3. Minute 3, write 2 lines. My attunement signal will be, and the boundary I'll keep is. Minute 4, picture a warm kitchen lamp and let that light bathe the meeting ahead. Minute 5, allow a tiny smile, your nervous system's sign that you're choosing, not being swept away. Then text, open the door, or call. Ordinary is what feeds a relationship. What about enantiodromia, Jung's swing to the opposite? The more you push one pole, say unconditional giving, the more the psyche rebounds. Cool, withdrawn. Prevention isn't clamping down. It's daily microbalance, a small no. Between 2 yeses, a short silence between emotional highs, a no-agenda walk date. That gives the self, your inner regulator, room for micro-adjustments before life yanks the pendulum with a bigger event. Also remember a very American comfort: intensity, intimacy. Intensity is fireworks. Intimacy is the kitchen lamp. Intensity impresses. Intimacy nourishes. Choose the lamp in quiet schedules. Boundaries gets lighter. It becomes the space where love can breathe. If you want a concrete somatic bridge, try the 2-chair practice. Set 2 chairs face to face, one for the pleaser, accommodator, shadow anima, the other for the commander, controller, shadow animus. Sit in chair 1 and speak for 60 seconds. I'm afraid if I say no, I'll be left. Switch chairs. I'm afraid if I don't take charge, chaos will swallow me. Then stand as the third, your adult self, hand to heart. Both of you are trying to protect me. From now on, I'll protect us with kind boundaries and compassion for myself. Breathe then, seal with one micro action, send one clear text, or schedule 30 minutes for a basic need. Dreams, the mother tongue of the unconscious, deserve a tiny notebook by your bed. Each morning, jot 5 bullets. Characters, place, feeling, symbol, action. Don't overinterpret. Ask, what one action does this symbol want? Water, drink water, take a gentle shower. Allow feelings to flow. Milestone or shower. Write a plan and set a boundary. Door, open or close the thing that's dangling. Matching one small act to a dream tells the unconscious, I'm listening. That's how inner trust is rebuilt gesture by gesture. If a few days in you feel tight in the body, dreams turn violent, thinking goes black and white, shame thickens, self-contempt spikes. This isn't weakness. It's the river forced through too narrow a pipe. Loosen the tempo lower. Expectations, raise body care. Warm sleep, warm food, gentle movement, and if possible, share with a trusted friend or therapist. The ethic here is compassion first for you, then for others. Real transformation never grows from self-hatred. How do I keep this beyond 7 days in a busy American life? Enter the 30-day map. Week 1, attention hygiene, reduce overstimulation, log triggers. Week 2, redirection stack. Pre-build 3 channels. Writing movement, 1 hard project. Week 3, invite shadow to speak, 2 active imagination sessions, and 1 deep projection letter with Anima/Animus. Week 4, integrate in relationship practice, 3 kind no's, 1 honest talk, 1 responsible king-queen decision. Keep the 5-minute ritual as the red thread through it all, 1 tiny goal per week measured on 4 gentle axes. No need to prove anything to anyone, just keep 1 small promise to yourself each night. I want you to feel less like you're in a cold classroom and more like you're in a circle of people learning to hold the mirror again. In the comments write, the projection pull I'll try in 24 hours is, or the boundary line I need today is. If you're comfortable, share a recent dream symbol, water, moon, door, tunnel, garden, road. When you see someone write what you've lived, reply with kindness, me too. And here's 1 small thing that helped. Community can't do your inner work, but it can remind you that you're not alone. Next, we'll take these tools into live conversation. Short phrases for hot moments, how to apologize without self-humiliation, how to own your part without carrying someone else's in a tiny salt and lamp. Evening rite, sprinkle a pinch of salt on dinner. Light a small lamp and invite 1 quality home. Tonight I welcome our mom. We'll also name safety edges, when to pause, psychological tools for the body's sake, and how to choose a fitting therapeutic companion. If part 3 taught you to pull your gaze off the screen, the next part teaches you to use those eyes to truly see a human before you, and the one within, both imperfect, both worthy of staying. This is where love stops being a myth and becomes a daily gentle discipline. After you've learned to withdraw projections, the next step isn't a blinding enlightenment, but the small, decisive conversations that shape a life. Jung reminds us where power dominates, love dries up. Where real love is present, the need to manipulate melts like ice in the sun. So what do we do and say so we don't fall back into the old play, where the other person is the wall and we're the crashing wave? The answer lives in language ritual, in a heart that takes responsibility for what it asks. Clean language that holds both of you. In conflict, trade the global. You always arrow for 4 simple beats. When home happens, I feel bomb. Right now, I need why. I can, and I can't. Do you want us to choose A or B? A Boston couple used this exact frame for fights about time. And strangely, the tension didn't vanish, but it finally had an exit. This is the bright animus creating order without crushing the soul. For apologies don't perform guilt by cheap peace. Try I did my. The impact on you is wow. Next time I will wow. Do you need anything specific from me now? An apology isn't throwing away dignity. It brings dignity into truth. When you need to say no, you don't owe a TED Talk. A kind no is a gift. Thanks for inviting me, but I can't join tonight. I hope you have a great evening. If they push at a thin boundary I've answered already, I'm going to stop reading about this until morning. That's Animus protecting Anima. Not building a wall, but a frame. And when the other is activated, don't explain them into understanding. Try a bridge line. I hear you saying you feel calm. Is that right? I want to understand before I respond. 1 slow minute like this can save a whole evening. Nightly ritual. Salt and lamp. Don't underestimate small gestures. The unconscious trusts symbols more than arguments. Each night, even if dinner is just a bowl of soup, sprinkle a pinch of salt and light a small lamp, a candle or desk light. As you salt, whisper, "Tonight I invite home the quality of Mako." If you've hung peace on your partner's shoulders, name peace. If you've handed over direction, name direction. As you light the lamp hand on heart, I won't ask anyone to hold this for me. I'll practice holding it for 15 minutes. Then do one micro action, 5 lines of feeling quotes, a 3-item plan for tomorrow, or simply sit and feel the breath move in your chest. You're not changing essence, you're changing tempo. And tempo, not willpower, teaches the unconscious it's time to grow up. A 30-day frame so it sticks. Week 1, identify and withdraw projections. Each day, pick one trigger, write 3 lines, and turn the arrow back toward yourself. Week 2, dialogue and ritual. 3 rounds of positive imagination, 7 nights of salt and lamp. Week 3, boundaries and repair practice, 3 talks. 1 refusal, 1 apology, 1 request. Week 4, integration and check. Self-rate 3 signs shorter, text, better tolerance for ambiguity. More I statements. If you miss a day, don't use it to quit, return like a pianist lifting the lid after a busy week. Play one simple piece and keep going. Inner marriage and daily rhythm. Eros x logos. Feminine, masculine. Here isn't gender stereotype. They're inner qualities we all carry. Eros, connection, sensing, nurture. Logos, clarity, structure, discernment. When Eros and Logos marry within the inner house, isn't empty anymore. Imagine a very American morning, Google Calendar, packed, Slack pinging, and you long devoted to Logos already sprinting. Logos got you far. Without Eros, the schedule becomes a guillotine. Flip it, and pure Eros burns out without Logos. The art isn't switching sides, it's setting the table for both morning 30 minutes for Eros silence. Dream notes, slow coffee, then hand the reins to Logos, 3 priorities. Clear call of boundaries. At noon, give Eros a chair. 1 breath, 1 body felt question. What am I feeling? Afternoon, hand the mic to Logos, 1 small, firm decision. At night, Eros and Logos clean the kitchen together. That disciplined alternation is a simple, effective, inner marriage ritual, unflashy, but it changes the climate of a life. On the deeper level, Anima shows itself when we flare up or fall hard. Often the perfect person is a white screen for your unrecognized counterpole to project its film. Practice deep projection when your heart swells at someone too perfect. Write 3 lines. What qualities am I imputing to them? 3 lines. Where are those qualities underdeveloped in me? And 1 small action, I will honor this quality in me by praying. Maybe it's enrolling in a speaking class, Logos, or tending a plant for 20 minutes, Eros. To love is to see, and we truly see once we've gathered our shadow back from the screen. In conflict, sat truth and care side by side. Try 2 sentences. I want you to feel supported, and I also need to say this so we can be real with each other. The word "and" is the bridge in the language of marriage. Add 1 body cue, hand to sternum, slow exhale so Logos doesn't become a hammer and Eros doesn't turn to syrup. The outcome may not be perfect, but the temenos holds. Trust is watered by both truth and kindness. Boundaries and action and intimacy without fireworks. Day 5. Boundaries and action. Rehearse 4 frames with breaths. And bridge, not erasure. Request plus time plus limit. Yes on the condition. No plus options. Use them in small places. Plans, bedtime texting habits. The goal isn't to win, it's to teach your body that no is safe. Jamie, I'm not going out tonight, and I'll take you for coffee at 9 a.m. Alex, I want closeness, and I need 30 minutes of quiet before we talk about work. 2 small sentences can save a long week. Day 6, intensity, intimacy. Try a slow date, a 20-minute walk. No music, no screens. Each asks 1 open question. What did you learn from yourself this week? Then sit in 2 minutes of silence before answering. Awkward is normal. That's intimacy sprouting. If restlessness hits hand on belly, 1 breath, meet their eyes. The body learns that stillness isn't abandonment and a schedule isn't a cage. Alex and Jamie swapped a dream from the week. They didn't need a plot twist to feel alive. They needed meaning. The red line, safety first. If you are in a relationship with physical harm, financial control, social isolation, Threats or ongoing verbal abuse, understand withdrawing projections is not accepting harm. Jung never asked you to digest someone's cruelty to evolve. Inner tools stand behind safety. Seek an exit plan, a trusted person, a helpline, and a clinician. Darkness is sacred. It is not a prison. Compassion for others only has integrity when you include yourself. Ethics of presence. Don't use your field of presence to bargain. If someone reveals tenderness, don't raise your value by holding their secret as power. Don't wear their words as spiritual jewelry for the ego. 3 rules for the Temenos. No diagnosing, no possessing, no retelling guard their story like a candle in the wind. These protect your inner marriage from slipping into monopossession, the subtle power delusion Jung warned about. When tools become habits, 2 vignettes, Evan, he almost sent a long blame text to Nora. You're not like before? He stopped open notes and wrote, I'm scared of being alone. I'm asking Nora to be my mother. I'll give Anima 15 minutes by turning off screens and writing. He did. Next morning I flooded last night. Thanks for giving me time. I'm free at 8 p.m. Would you like to call? Not poetic, just honest enough to preserve both people's dignity. Mara. On a shaky evening, instead of pressuring Theo to decide now, she said, I feel unsettled and I need order. I'll do 30 minutes of budgeting. At 9:15, I'm free to hear about your family. She didn't become less feminine. She invited the bright animist to sit down. What blooms isn't perfection. It's the capacity to repair which keeps love alive. Nature over spectacle. You might ask, does all this make love less natural? It actually returns love to its true nature. Not a flood breaking banks, but a river with a riverbed. The best gardens aren't lawless. They have paths, white fences, and a chair where the sun falls. When anima or animus is held in your hands, you stop needing your partner to be a miracle. You start treasuring the ordinary miracles, cooking together, quiet together, repairing together. The real magic isn't in the script, it's in the rhythm. Community practice, don't walk alone. Drop a comment. The boundary sentence I'll use this week is, or salt and lamp tonight, I'm inviting home the quality of. If you like share a dialogue you're stuck in, we'll help you convert reflex into framed language. Speaking honestly doesn't show off. It plants hope for someone standing at yesterday's door. What's next from here? A final door opens our closing chapter where we gather it all. Shadow anima/animus attachment, language, ritual, reality. We'll look at love as a vessel of transformation where both people bring their share season with salt, light the lamp, and stir together. We'll name the virtues of mature love, humility, truthfulness, patience, and the capacity to bear just enough aloneness that we don't use each other as anesthesia. And we'll preview what's ahead on this channel. The wounded mother and feminine wisdom boundaries without hardening dream work for busy people, so the journey doesn't end with one video. If you've come this far, your heart already knows love doesn't arrive to complete you. It arrives to wake you. In the finale, we'll place a hand on the heart and make a quiet vow not to love until death, but to stay awake while loving. Integration is when love becomes a vessel for transformation, and you can stand inside it as a whole human being. By now, you've learned to look through the mirror, call your projections home, replace outbursts with framed language, and bring salt and lamp into your evenings. But there's a deeper floor, what Jung called individuation. It isn't a badge or the media slogan, best version of yourself. It's a quiet covenant between inner opposites, between softness and boundary reverie and order eros that wants to connect, and logos that wants to clarify. When those opposites begin to trust each other, ordinary love changes its chemistry. Less magic tricks, more repair. Less theater, more warmth. What if your next argument became a place to practice this covenant? Let's widen one piece from part 1 besides anima. In Animus, Jung gives us a second map. Psychological types. Sensing, intuition. Thinking. Feeling. Many fights we label masculine versus feminine are simply type differences. Intuitive folks speak in images and illusion. Sensing folks want specifics, calendars, details. Thinkers need clear logic. Feelers need the heart to be met first. If we're not conscious, type differences. Get animus hats and inflate into accusations. You're so insensitive. You're so irrational. When the surface tangles, ask, is this an archetype issue, a type issue, or both? That small question unknots a lot. Which one is it for you? Type, archetype, or both? Look at Evan and Nora 3 months later. One weekend night, Evan wants to stay in and write. Nora wants to catch a small exhibit. 3 months ago, he'd have texted a long lament. Tonight, he opens his notes, reads his 4 mantras, and sends a clean line. I need 90 quiet minutes to write tonight. I'll pick you up at 9:30. I want to hear about the show. He hasn't abandoned romance. He invited his inner Anima to sit at home before stepping out. Nora, an intuitive who tends to speak in circles, sends Evan all astray and derail. I need to be with someone who says what he'll do and does it. 9:30. Yes, their essence didn't change. Their rhythm did. Less shattered mystique, more everyday miraculous. What rhythm wants adjusting in your own love this week? Then there's Mara and Theo. During a rough spell at work, Mara notices the old urge to borrow a compass. She pauses at the mirror, hand to heart. I invite the bright animist to sit. She drafts a budget, sends 2 sturdy emails, then calls Theo. I've set my day back in order. Tonight, if you want it, I'll give you 30 minutes, no advice, just listening. Americans understand concrete kindness better than pretty promises. Theo, instead of hoarding his fatigue like a secret, practices 3 sentences. I'm overloaded. I need 24 hours. Tomorrow at 6, I'll update you. They don't make each other into miracles. They give each other a place in reality. Where could you offer concrete kindness instead of a vague promise? Why does this matter? Because without integration, every technique becomes armor. You can set perfect boundaries while quietly renting the other person to carry your emptiness. You can sprinkle salt each night while using love like anesthesia. Integration begins with a strong, humble vow. No one has to rescue me from myself anymore. It's not cold. It opens the space where 2 adults bring their share into the vessel between them. Jung loved the mandala, a circle with a center. Make a small one each week, sketched in pencil or petals, and title the week, Calm, Clear, Trust, Light. The circle reminds you love is not a straight line. It moves in rounds, returns to center, and begins again. What's the name of your week's mandala? I want you to have field markers, little trail signs that you're heading the right way. First, you start to enjoy shared quiet without stuffing it with content. Second, when triggered, you touch the body before the phone. Third, you tell the difference between a need and a demand and choose words accordingly. Fourth, you keep 1 small daily promise to yourself. 10 minutes of walking, 5 lines of journaling, 3 doable tasks. Fifth, you apologize faster and defend less. Sixth, you say no warmly. Seventh, you find beauty in the ordinary. A quiet dinner, a chair by the window, a simple muddle, let's talk tomorrow. These are signs that Anima/Animus stopped acting like extremes and started dancing together. Which signs showed up for you today? Here's a brace for our discourse. What every serious channel should say plainly. Jung is a map, not a monarch. A map helps when it frees you from confusion. It hurts when you use it to label people. If someone says, that's just your projection, remember your feelings are real, even if the story around them needs editing. And if you carry deep wounds, trauma, let your body's healing tempo lead enough sleep, nourishing food, slow movement, and professional companionship. No spiritual process is worth crossing your safety line. Where does your safety need honoring? First, body, relationship, or meaning. One last expansion from part 1, feminine, masculine, is symbolic language, not fixed gender essence. Every relationship configuration, straight, queer, non-binary, moves with this dance because Anima/Animus don't care whom you love. They care how conscious you are. Use the map to see dynamics, not to cage people. In a couple of 2 women, one may steer at work while the other holds the emotional rhythm at home, and tomorrow they switch. In a couple of 2 men, both can train a bright anima, so neither becomes the other's endless port. When the map is alive, choice expands. Where do you want more choice this season? If you like working with images, try the mirror and door right. Each morning, don't ask, am I attractive today? Ask, which door do I open? The quiet door, 10 headphone-free minutes. The order door, 3 right-size tasks. The connection door, 1 check-in message without expectation. In the evening, write 1 line, which door opened, which needs a new key. The unconscious loves naming games, give it vocabulary, and it gives you a path. Which door will you open tomorrow? Now step into the circle with us. In the comments, write one sentence. My small marker today is, or my mandala this week is called, if a dream swings by water, moon, milestone, garden, share a few lines. You'll be surprised when a stranger in Seattle or Austin replies, I dreamed of water too. Sipping one slow glass before bed helped. We don't heal for one another. We witness each other. Sometimes knowing you are not strange is enough to take the next step. What would your one-line witness be tonight? You may wonder, so what's the end of all this? Not a fairy tale, an ordinary life with a soul, a kitchen with salt and lamp, eyes that can tolerate difference without turning it into threat. Two people who can stand before each other and say, I don't need you to save me from me. I want to walk with you as we each learn to carry our part. That's love, as Jung understood it, not to complete, but to awaken. It doesn't pull you out of life. It drops you more deeply into it with a heart that hears water running and a hand that can set a white fence around the garden. What small act will make your ordinary life feel ensouled tomorrow? From here, we move to the finale, distilling everything into a small promise you can tape to your desk or fridge. I'll invite you to whisper a quiet vow, not forever, but I will be present. We'll name 3 virtues that keep adult love warm: humility, honesty, patience, and set a channel intention for next month. Mother wound and feminine wisdom. Friendly boundaries, dream work for busy people. If you've come this far, maybe you've heard the gentle call. It's time to stop hunting miracles out there and learn to be the lamp keeper in your own home. In the closing, we'll light that lamp, and if they're willing, invite your partner to sit beside you. Perhaps by now you've set the mirror down and seen your own face under a small lamp. Not the mirror of illusion, but an attention that has learned to stand still. We began with a hard truth. Much of what we call love is projection. Step by step, we learn to call our projections home, to nourish the anima with presence, to invite the animus with gentle order, to speak framed boundary sentences, and to keep a tiny ritual on the table, salt and light, so the unconscious knows it's time to grow up. At this ending, I won't give you a slogan. I'll offer a quiet vow, a slower heartbeat you can carry into every room. I won't hunt miracles out there. I'll keep rhythm in here. If I distill the journey, 3 virtues keep mature love warm. Humility, admit you have a shadow and the person before you has one too. We don't come to fix each other, we come to see together. Honesty, to say short, kind, timely truths, even if the truth is, I'm tired today and need quiet. Patience, give small changes, time to become habit, like a white fence around a garden. One day the wind still blows, but the flowers break less. When these 3 are present, anima stops flooding. Anima stops hardening. They sit like 2 musicians who have learned to listen. Let me widen one crucial thread to wear as an amulet against misreadings: feminine, masculine names. Archetypal principles, not fixed gender traits. This holds across all relationship constellations, hetero, queer, non-binary. Love whomever you love. The lesson remains, wherever you outsource what's missing, love turns into anesthesia. And one more thread: safety before spirituality. If your relationship includes violence, control threats, or ongoing abuse, prioritize bodily safety and your support network. Any inner tool comes after a safe boundary. Jung offers maps for liberation, not for endurance. Because the mind can manufacture meaning when it's intoxicated, carry 4 cool questions. Like a compass, is the outer event verifiable? What state was I in at that moment? Given the meaning I'm drawing, what small act is more responsible than dramatic? If I strip the red costume off, the story, does the ethical value still stand? Don't use these questions to banish the numinous, use them to make wonder trustworthy. That's what Jung wanted. I'll bind the close with 2 small vows, not to me, to yourself. First, integrity over drama. I'll choose one sentence that fits the truth over a grand speech that wins applause. Second, respect freedom and context. I won't force anyone to wear my symbols, assign omens to their life, or borrow tradition to cover my lack of courage. I'll use reminders to become more responsible and more kind. Which vow will you practice tonight? Let the ending become a simple ritual. Close your eyes for a beat. Place a hand on your chest. Name 3 things you'll carry from this video. 1 concept, 1 image, 1 action. Maybe intensity, intimacy. Maybe a warm kitchen and an oil lamp. Maybe the boundary sentence you just practiced. Now picture stepping onto a stone bridge, each plank a day from this past week. In the middle you pause, look down at the water and smile. I'm no longer demanding the sea be less deep, so I'm less afraid. I'm learning to swim. That smile is a marker you'll remember on wobbly days. To help memory stick, carry one inner password. Red bell, 7 minutes, 3 lines enough for today. As it settles into habit, you'll trade grand declarations for small truths. You'll still forget or wander, but one touch at the wrist and you'll remember the way home. Amid traffic and notifications, you can still hear a very quiet sound, the sound of a person living by meaning. Before we part, place a hand over your heart. Take one long inhale and a slow exhale. Whisper, I belong to me. I choose what I offer. I am here. If your partner or a close friend is nearby, invite them to sit and light a lamp. No grand table needed, just a corner. 2 people, 2 breaths, 1 flame. No promise of forever, just a promise for today. Don't flee the dark, switch on the light. Don't swallow each other, share the salt. Thank you for walking this road. If you're willing, drop one line right now. The moment I choose to be present this week is, your words may be the small lamp someone needs in the night. If this touched you, share it with a friend, like handing them a framed mirror. Until next time, keep rhythm with small thing, 1 breath, 1 boundary, 1 lamp. That's enough to begin a soulful, ordinary life. Tomorrow morning in New York or Denver, Little Rock or San Diego, you might notice a red streak on a stoplight, a coffee mug, a book cover. Treat it as an invitation back to your rubedo card. 7 words, 1 gesture, 3 lines enough for today. 4 stepping stones so you can go far without getting lost. If you trip, don't punish yourself. Return to breath. Touch the wrist, apologize if needed, and begin again. Rubedo doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for fidelity. And if this arrived right on time, subscribe and ring the bell. Not to chase alerts, but to keep our practice of turning beautiful symbols into responsible actions. Let the red bell ring just enough to wake you, not enough to rattle the whole neighborhood of your soul. Then come back and comment 7 words, 1 gesture, 3 lines enough for today.